I think that the crypto security community will be the first. A lot of the money that I contribute early to the Bitcoin core dev, to the Bitcoin development process was actually to Bitcoin security programs. 1 sat per V-byte for instantaneous performance. 1 sat, 1 sat, 1 sat, 1 sat. In essence, there is no bandwidth problem in the Bitcoin network a decade after the block size wars.
Today, we are breaking down Michael Saylor's definitive 2026 stance on security. We'll explore why the quantum risk is actually a 10-year software upgrade in disguise, why the crypto community is the most sophisticated cybersecurity force on Earth, and why 99 out of 100 alarmist narratives are just a way for someone else to get rich. If you're worried about your private keys, you need to hear the logic of the unbreakable network. If you found value in this breakdown, please hit the like button, subscribe, and share it with other investors who are paying attention. We're here to keep bringing you sharp analysis and voices that understand what's unfolding. Thanks for watching.
So first of all, the consensus of the cybersecurity community, broadly held, is that quantum risk, if it exists, is more than 10 years out. It's not this decade thing. Whether or not there will be a quantum threat or a quantum risk is a question that is yet to be decided, but there's certainly no consensus that there is any threat right now or that there will be a threat materializing anytime soon. Should a quantum risk materialize, at that point, then you're going to see an upgrade in the software that runs the global banking system, the global internet, consumer devices, all the crypto networks, the Bitcoin network, everything digital, the AI networks, all of those networks that we rely on today, whether they're governmental or financial or consumer or defense related, they're going to get upgraded with post-quantum resistant cryptography. It won't be a surprise. You'll see it coming. We will all see it coming. Bitcoin software, right? Bitcoin Core version 30. Right now we're debating over upgrading from version 29 to version 30. The software does change. If you've got 30 versions of Bitcoin Core in an asset which is 17 years old, do the math in your head and figure out how long it takes for versions of this stuff to roll out. The nodes will upgrade, the hardware will upgrade, the wallets will upgrade, the exchanges will upgrade. How will they upgrade? Well, wait 10 years, there will be global consensus about the best way to deal with it. There is no global consensus right now because there isn't a credible threat right now, right? So why do I not worry about it? Well, because everybody with anything at stake, whether it's Google or Microsoft or Apple or Coinbase or BlackRock or Strategy or the US government or the Russian government or the EU government or the Chinese government or JP Morgan or Morgan Stanley, they all have to deal with the same issue. We all have digital systems that would be at risk if there was a credible quantum threat. If and when it materializes, I expect that there will be some software or hardware or both reaction to it. The crypto community is actually the most sophisticated cybersecurity community. If you look at the security protocols that are used to move crypto around, right? They're all multi-factor authentication with hardware keys, etc. If you consider the security protocols used to move bank wires around or used to trade stocks, they're orders of magnitude weaker. Right now, I'm not going to elaborate on them for obvious reasons, but anyone that's actually engaged in a stock transaction or bank wire transaction or a credit card transaction or a check transaction or any kind of consumer finance transaction or communication transaction knows that the steps you go through in order to move Bitcoin, out of cold storage or to transfer it to someone else, especially when you're moving it at scale, are extremely sophisticated.
Saylor points out that if quantum computers could break Bitcoin tomorrow, they could also break Google, Microsoft, the US Defense Department, and the Chinese government. Every digital system on the planet relies on the same cryptographic foundations. We won't wake up to a surprise. We will see it coming for a decade. The entire world has a $1 trillion incentive to upgrade their software. And when that upgrade happens, the crypto community, which already uses security protocols orders of magnitude stronger than your local bank wire or stock trade, will be the first to perceive the threat and the first to react.
I think that the crypto security community will be the first, to perceive the threat and to react to the threat, and they'll be leading the way. We have announced a Bitcoin security program. Coinbase obviously has a security program. In fact, a lot of the money that I contribute early to the Bitcoin core dev, to the Bitcoin development process was actually to Bitcoin security programs. Like the MIT Bitcoin security program. So I think that all of us that are large Bitcoin holders or users or in the industry, we know the security of the network is paramount. But I don't actually think that the quantum narrative is the greatest security threat to Bitcoin right now. I don't think it has been. People joke they've been concerned and talking about it every 2 years for the past 15 years. I actually think that there are 100 narratives that people discuss that might be a security threat. Is there a bandwidth problem? Is there a nation state attack vector? Does it have enough functionality? Does it have too much functionality? Is it evolving too quickly? Is it not evolving fast enough, right? Is it sufficiently decentralized, et cetera, et cetera? Should we make it easier to run on an iPhone? Should we make it not easier to run on an iPhone? The number of debates about what's good for Bitcoin, are mind-numbing, and there are many of them. They will continue. Quantum will be one. It used to be, there's a debate, the Chinese they'll control all the mining. Then it's like the Chinese control the mining equipment. Oh, there might be a backdoor in the mining equipment. Oh no, the Chinese banned Bitcoin mining. Chinese banned Bitcoin mining equipment. They don't, Chinese don't like Bitcoin anymore. It's like the debates, they vary from there's a risk to, oh no, there isn't a risk. Oh, if there, why don't the Chinese like Bitcoin? Right? And at some point it gets silly because it's 100 of them. I would say at this point, the reason we're talking about quantum is because all of the other risks did not materialize. A decade ago, people fought the block size wars. The entire block size wars, there's books written about it, you can go back. And the narrative was Bitcoin will fail because it doesn't have enough bandwidth. Okay? And people fought bitterly over this. And a few days ago, I posted a screenshot, of Clark Moody's dashboard, and it showed that the fee structure of Bitcoin was 1 sat per V-byte for instantaneous performance. 1 sat, 1 sat, 1 sat, 1 sat. In essence, there is no bandwidth problem in the Bitcoin network. A decade after the block size wars, people fought and died over that narrative. It was a non-issue. Eventually, the free market solved the problem, right? And at the end of the day, you always have this dynamic between the alarmist, the ambitious opportunist, or the idealist out there, if you want to be charitable, the idealistic intellectuals. You could call them that. You could call them the ambitious opportunist, if you like. They posit, Bitcoin will boil the oceans. Bitcoin will fail because you can't self-custody. Bitcoin will fail because of bandwidth. Bitcoin will fail, blah, blah, blah. And then, this follows, it pops up as we can't use nuclear energy. It'll blow up the world. We can't have nuclear power. We're going to boil the oceans. They're climate alarmists. They're whatever alarmists. There's 150 narratives that people spin up, and every one of them is a way to accumulate, to glean interest and engagement. I want influence, or I want capital, or I want power. And so it's very important that we vaccinate, every 3-year-old on Earth at the cost of $10,000 a vaccine shot against, yo-yo disease, the one that I just found that hypothetically might, be an issue. And so please give me $100 billion and let's declare martial law and let's make it, illegal for parents not to do this because I'm here to save the world. And so it's this God complex or intellectual save the world context. It's been going on for thousands of years, Natalie. It's in the political process, and the crypto process, and the Bitcoin process. So the fact of the matter is, none of the narratives that were going to stop Bitcoin or threaten Bitcoin ever panned out. They all turned out to be incorrect. The scalability, we have to stop spam. Oh, no, we didn't. We have to create smart contracts to create scam. No, we don't. We have to double the block size. No, we didn't. The miners are going to go bankrupt. No, they didn't. No one will mine Bitcoin. Yes, they will. The Chinese will stop it. Yes, they did. No, they didn't. Yes, they did. No, they didn't. They need to endorse it. They can't endorse it, right? It needs to be private. No, it doesn't, right? All of these things, they're all narratives. It used too much energy. No, it didn't. It'll boil the ocean. It didn't. Quantum will hack it. No, it won't, right? And what is it that people are missing here? Well, first of all, 99 out of 100 of these narratives, they benefit the ambitious opportunist because now they become famous. Al Gore makes hundreds of millions of dollars preaching that the climate is going to collapse, right? And 25 years later, it didn't happen. Somebody gets rich. ESG worked, but it didn't happen. But the point is, if I wasn't preaching it, how am I getting rich, right? So the point is, it's a business. So what you have is this economic and political amplification of alarmist narratives because it benefits the politician, it benefits the entrepreneur, it benefits those that have a will to money or power, right? And how am I supposed to get rich if I don't we basically at one point we decided that you had to stand 6 feet away from each other and wear a mask, and the government needed to buy $100 billions of masks, and if you didn't wear the mask, you're going to jail. And it's like someone sold the masks, right? And so there is a very powerful feedback with these narratives. And once you realize that 99 out of 100 narratives are just a way for someone to accumulate money and power, and you ought to be skeptical of those narratives. And the last point, the famous president said it. He said, you see 10 problems driving down the road at you, 9 of them are going to drive themselves into a ditch before they get to you, right? And so how do I get rich, Natalie? Well, I convince you that it's possible that you're going to trip on a rock and break your leg and not be able to work. And so I sell you trip on a rock insurance. What's that cost? That's going to cost you 1% of your annual income, the trip on a rock insurance. And then someone else comes along and says, well, you might, get a sneezing attack, Natalie, and I'm going to sell you sneezing attack insurance. And what's that going to cost you? That's going to cost you 1%. Because if you get the sneezing attack thing, then you won't be able to work. And so another guy comes along and he convinces you that, there's a hypothetical chance that your children will have autism. And so we're going to sell you, the autism vaccine, whatever, and that'll cost you 2%. And then someone else comes along and they're like, well, it's quite possible that you'll be driving the car and something will happen and you'll wreck the car and you won't be able to work again. So here's vocational insurance for driving of the car. And I come up with 100 possible things. And each of them is 0.01% likely. And the collective, all of them, is 1% likely to happen to you. But I sell you insurance that sucks up 100% of your income. So if you insure for every one of these parade of horribles, every hypothetical possible thing, you're bankrupt. So you are 100% likely to be bankrupt because you bought insurance against 100 things that were 1% likely to happen. And by the way, if you had bought insurance against none of them, a decade would have gone by and you'd be like 1% likely to have one of them, and you would have just like upgraded your iPhone software and the problem would have gone away. You know? And it's like, but the person that's selling you the insurance isn't going to make $1 billion if you just wait 10 years and upgrade your iPhone software and it goes away. How am I supposed to get rich on that? Like, how am I supposed to get elected to be governor of a state if, you know, if I don't spin up a narrative that is a doom narrative? And so what the danger is when anything gets weaponized by an entrepreneur, it's like, I want to raise money so I can hire a bunch of quantum resistant developers. Or I want you to sell Bitcoin and buy quantum resistant yo-yo coin. Or I want to be elected mayor, and the problem is that there's hypothetically radioactive something, you know, in 10 years, the drinking water will be radioactive, but we let nuclear reactors get built somewhere in the state 5 years from now, and that's why you should give me all of your money so I can be elected mayor now, so I can pass a law to prevent the hypothetical problem 8,700 years from now.
Saylor's most powerful point is his critique of Parade of Horribles insurance. If an entrepreneur can convince you that there's a 1% chance you'll trip on a rock and break your leg, they can sell you insurance for 1% of your income. Then someone sells you sneezing attack insurance, and car wreck insurance, and autism vaccine insurance. If you found value in this breakdown, please hit the like button, subscribe, and share it with other investors who are paying attention. We're here to keep bringing you sharp analysis and voices that understand what's unfolding. Thanks for watching.